Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Mr. Bodejas, your online math teacher. In today's video, you will learn how to solve quadratic equations by extracting square roots. Let's learn first what is perfect square. A perfect square is a number that is obtained by multiplying an integer by itself. For example, the number 25 is a perfect square because it is a product of multiplying 5 by itself. 5 times 5 is 25, and it is also a product of multiplying negative 5 by itself. So negative 5 times negative 5 is also 25. Another example of a perfect square is 81. 81 is a product of multiplying 9 by itself. That is 9 times 9, which is equal to 81. And it is also a product of multiplying negative 9 by itself. Negative 9 times negative 9 is also 81. That makes it a perfect square. Next, we have a solution. A number x is a solution of a quadratic equation if it satisfies the equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This is also called a root of the quadratic equation. Solution class is also the root of the quadratic equation. For example, in the quadratic equation x squared minus 1 is equal to 0, x is equal to 1 is a solution since if you are going to substitute the value of x, which is 1, in the equation, so you have 1 squared minus 1 is equal to 0. So 1 times 1 or 1 squared, that is just 1. So 1 minus 1 is really equal to 0. So it satisfies the equation, meaning to say that 1 there is a solution for this equation. Let's try these examples. Number 1. What are the solutions of x squared minus 121 is equal to 0? To determine the solutions of this quadratic equation, we need to follow these steps. First, isolate the constant term on one side of the equation, or we are going to separate the variable term and the constant term. By addition property of equality, we need to add 121 to both sides of the equation. This 121 is based on the given constant term in this quadratic equation. We have negative 141, and in addition property of equality, we need to add the opposite number of this constant term. So we have positive 121 both sides. Now, negative 121 plus 121 is just 0. So we canceled it out. The remaining is x squared. And on the other side, we have 0 plus 121, and that is 121. Let's continue this one on the next slide. Number 2, extract the square roots on both sides of the equation. And do not forget to write this positive and negative sign in getting the square root of the constant. So the last equation is x squared is equal to 121. Now, let's extract the square roots on both sides. We have square root of x squared is equal to the positive and negative square root of 121. And this square root of x squared is just x. We will cancel this radical sign and the exponent of 2. So the remaining is x. And on the other side, the square root of 121 is positive and negative 11. Therefore, the solutions of this equation are positive 11 and negative 11. Example number 2, determine the solutions of x squared plus 11 is equal to 35. Again, to determine the solutions of this quadratic equation, we need to follow these steps. First, isolate the constant term on one side of the equation, or we are going to separate the variable term and the constant term. By addition property of equality, we are going to add negative 11 to both sides of the equation. This negative 11 is from the constant term here in this side of this equation, because we need to transpose this one to the other side. That is why we need to add its negative or its opposite. Adding negative 11 to both sides, we have this. Then x squared plus 11 plus negative 11 is equal to 35 plus negative 11. This 11 plus negative 11 is just 0, so we can cancel it out. And the remaining is x squared is equal to 35 plus negative 11 is 24. Next is extract the square root of both sides of the equation. So taking the square root of both sides, we have square root of x squared is equal to the positive and negative square root of 24. Since 24 here is not a perfect square, because it is not a product of a certain integer that is multiplied by itself, so we need to factor it out such that, or be sure that one of the factors should be a perfect square. So 24, we have the factors are 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24, and 4 is a perfect number or perfect square, and 6 is not a perfect square. So we have, it's okay as long as there is one factor that is perfect square. So we have here square root of 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is just 24. So this is just the same. Taking now the square root of 4 times 6, which is the factors of 24. And we have here, since 4 is a perfect square, we may take its square root, which is positive and negative 2. Then since 6 is not a perfect square, so let it be square root of 6. Therefore, the solutions are 2 and square root of 6 and negative 2 and square root of 6. And now it's your turn. I want you to answer this individual practice for you to apply the knowledge that you've learned from today's discussion. And please comment your answers below for me to check as well if your answers are correct. And that's all for today's discussion. Thank you for watching.